In this war, I lost everything, including a part of myself. I was once a protector, but now I've become a destroyer. I must find my way back to who I am, or I will be forever lost in the darkness of revenge. 38. Jared, I shout, rushing out to him. He's laying on the grass. Leela pushing her hands over his chest to stop the bleeding. No. He's losing too much blood. My wolf warns. Hang on, Jared. Just hang on. Leela orders, looking him straight in the eyes. I fall on my knees beside them, searching for any other wound. There isn't one apart from that gushing hole in his chest. I bring trembling hands to his face so he sees me. You heard the duck. I grit my teeth. She's going to help you, so you have to fight. To my agent extraordinaire, Marin Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I glance at her and she's still putting pressure on the wound. Her lips pursed in anger. When her eyes meet mine, I can finally see the panic in them. The desperation. My blood turns cold and my lungs hurt. I'm going to die. Aren't I? Jared murmurs and my head snaps back to him. No, I answer stubbornly. I can't feel anything. It doesn't hurt anymore. He tries to smile. His breath's becoming ragged. I look at Leela again, silently asking for anything I can do. Surely there is something I can help with, stop the bleeding or give him my own blood. Or we could force him to transform. That might speed the healing process maybe. Or there are some kinds of herbs that would help. A concoction of some sort. I'm desperate, pleading with her to tell me what to do. She shakes her head, tears starting to roll down her cheeks, and my mind becomes blank. I turn back to Jared, watching all his features. The beauty mark along his jaw, the small white scar crossing his right brow, and his deep, beautiful grey eyes. You know, looking closely I think you're handsome. I try to joke, but it sounds weird. I told you I don't like it when you're so nice. He frowns and my heart breaks as I remember the last time he was hurt. Then stop worrying me so much. I clench my jaws, frowning. Do you think I'll get to see her again? He questions calmly, searching my eyes, and I know he's talking about his mate. Why can't you stay right here with me? I glare gently. He starts to cough blood red when he laughs. I'm scared. He whispers, his eyes shining, full of fear. I know. I nod and put my forehead against his. I know. I repeat in a whisper, but it's going to be fine. You'll see. I fight against the tears burning my eyes. Thank you. He breathes, for what my voice breaks as I look at his face. For deciding to be my friend. For showing me how big this world truly is. Thank you for protecting the people I love. You are my people. I tell him honestly. I'm fine now. I'm not scared anymore. He closes his eyes and I listen to his heart slowing down. I think I'll watch over you for a while. He decides, smirking softly. You do that and I'll be right there to teach you another lesson. I threaten half-threatedly. That's more like it. He laughs again and his heart stops beating. The last sound disappearing in the wind. My body starts to shake uncontrollably as I bring a bloody hand to my mouth to contain my cries. My vision is blurry and I can't see his face clearly anymore. Everything hurts. Every fiber of my being is burning up. I feel like my heart is being torn out of my chest and that my bones are shattering under all the sadness I feel. My ears are ringing, my head is pounding, and my breath's uneven. I notice a flash of light in the air before Orgum comes landing next to the body, watching it softly. It bends over to news ease L against Jared's shoulder, expecting him to react in some way, but nothing happens. We both wait silently for him to move, but nothing happens. Why did you do this? Leela shouts, and I finally emerge from the maze of my mind. It feels like it's all happening in slow motion as I stand up and turn to face Xavier. I see Leela is hurt too and anger rises in my chest. She's limping and holding her shoulder in place with her other hand. I walk to her, slowly stepping in front of her to protect her from the traitor. I can smell Jared's blood on his hands and I want to rip his head off, tear him to pieces. And I recognize from his pack runs to us and gives him a cloth bag. It's full but I can't enter from where I stand. Xavier is silent in front of us, but his smile irks me. I want to wipe it off. I want blood. His men's blood. Still I wait for him to acknowledge our presence. Finally. She asked you a question, I say in a voice filled with anger. A tone so deadly cold that even Lee flinches behind me. He looks up at me immediately in surprise while his acolyte takes a step back involuntarily. I watch them with empty eyes and Xavier composes himself again. Sorry, honey. Arthur here just gave me the last thing I was waiting for. What did you say? He talked sleazy unto me. I looked down on him disgusted. You're a traitor. Lila spits, glaring at him, her anger burning as much as mine. Darling, I was never on your side. He simply states fed up with the conversation. I lift my foot a step closer to him. Make him talk first. My wolf instructs. For once I decide to listen and put my foot back down. He isn't going anywhere. So you're with them. I question, jerking my head in the direction of the fight that is still going on around us and the enemy we were up against. No, he smiled, a deranged look on his face. They are with me, he explains. What about him? Lila asks, pointing at the gold armor still standing on the other side of the clearing. As pristine as ever. He's a nobody. He shrugged. I needed someone to distract you for a while. Alpha's Avier's the one you all feared. The one who will lead us to greatness. Arthur smiles proudly beside Avier. I don't have the will to listen to the cup why. I inquire next, my voice void of any emotion. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. His eyes shine yellow and I find it hideous to watch. You conceited brat. You couldn't wait a few years for Lincoln to retire, I sneer, and he glares at me. I don't want this kind of power. I want it all. He lifts his hands, stretching them on each side. I want what's rightfully mine, he declares. I let him speak. He's digging his own grave. He's delusional. What kind of crazy ideas did Lincoln fill his head with whipping about? Leah loses patience and steps up to stand next to me. She keeps glancing at me worried, and I think it has something to do with the fact that I'm an empty shell at the moment. There is nothing coming off of me. No scent. No wave of power. No anger. No resentment. Nothing. There wasn't ever a need for so many alphas in this world. There should be only one ruler, above everyone else. Someone to stand at the top, to govern all the packs and all the creatures living on this planet. He goes on and on raving, and I don't know if I have to take him seriously. And that's you, I assume. I follow his reasoning. Indeed. I was always meant for greatness. What's your wolf's color, I can't help asking. Black. He answers proudly, and I stop myself from rolling my eyes. Meant for greatness. My wolf growls in my head. Show this pup his rightful place. Under your feet. It orders, and I can feel it has had enough of this conversation too. That's nothing special. I tell him coldly, and he glares at me again. Watch it, rogue. The man by his side threatens. I lift a brow looking at him in challenge, and he starts to growl, his body trembling in anger. Give me a reason to kill you both. There might be 1 or 2 wolves on par with me in this world, but don't think for a second that your little white alpha is any better. I saw him fight. He's weak. Delusional. I agree with my wolf. What's in the bag? I demand, losing interest. This is the last piece I needed. He announces and lets go of the cloth over a big plate. Lila chokes as the contents spread on the silvery altar in front of us, while I simply stare in astonishment. What the hell is that? My wolf asks angrily. There is an entire glass jar filled with blood, bones and eyes. I also recognize a horn and fangs. I've been searching for decades. Ever since I first heard about the legends. I never stopped looking. Xavier starts to explain, lifting his sleeve to expose the tattoo of the sun embedded on his wrist. Long ago there was a great beast roaming these lands. He continues. It was a beast feared by all, so powerful that no one could compare to it. Lila looks at me worried, but I wait for the rest. It brought destruction everywhere it went, decimating entire cities. The man recites, watching our reactions. Persuaded we don't know about it. The beast was created by an alpha even more powerful. Wait. What? The beast obeyed its master, doing his bidding. He keeps going. You didn't know. My wolf shouts, bewildered. The rightful ruler was the only one able to control the beast. He was the king. However, the day he died, the greatest monster of all times disappeared. And since then it is waiting for the descendants of the ruler to call upon it once more so that it can finally roam free again. He finishes and I look at him at a loss for words. Where the hell is this coming from? And you think that's you? Leela concludes unaffected. I know I am. He growls menacingly. This is insane. The legend changed so much. It was altered so much that it doesn't make any sense anymore. The myths of the beast of the sun have lost their meaning. What do you need these for? She asks, now looking really pale. Showing the contents of the bag. It was easier than I expected. Xavier smiles. Your alpha invited me right into his territory of his own volition. I have to say I never expected that. I gained access to the library so easily I couldn't believe it at first. We brought him into the den. My wolf curses. Once I was inside, everything was decided. He takes out an old book to show it to us. I found it in days, and I gained the answers I needed. He laughs triumphantly. When you offered for me to join on your little trip, I couldn't have hoped for anything better. He tells me in particular and I frown. You paved the path for this day. I really have to thank you for that. You helped me more than you ever know. He nods. What are you going on about? I snap. I sure as hell didn't help him. Well, you see, to be able to control such an almighty monster, there needs to be a few sacrifices. He declares. Leela starts to gasp and cover her mouth in disgust at the word. It was all in here. Xavier taps over the cover of the book. The fangs of the vampire. He shows them on the plate. Then, the eyes of a kitsune, the bones of a mermaid and the horn of a unicorn. He enumerates. I feel sick. He is right. Without me he didn't have a chance to gather all of these. If I hadn't gone on this expedition with the crazy conviction that this was the only solution to this war, none of this would have happened. What are you talking about? This man is a madman. All this voodoo is just crazy talk. What about the blood? Leela shudders. The blood of an innocent. He shrugs and takes the lid off the glass. The scent assaults me in waves, slapping me in the face. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What the hell did you do to the pups? I growl, unable to contain myself. I'm having difficulties listening to his divagations with the thought of dead bodies waiting inside. I only took one, he says without emotions. He's so engrossed in his own story that he doesn't notice all the anger starting to pour out of me. My whole body is shaking and I have a hard time breathing evenly. My heart is slowing down as I wait to attack. I can feel the air stiffen around me, the hair on my arms lifted as I take in my surroundings. And lastly, he says in a loud voice, his eyes full of anticipation, the life of a great warrior. He throws the knife still coated with Jared's blood into the plate. I snap. You crazy man. I growl, taking a step towards him. Soon you'll all finally obey me. He glares at us, cutting his wrist over the tartar, letting his own blood flow down over the different artifacts he gathered. His eyes concentrated on the reaction to come. But nothing happens. My whole body shakes as I feel the anger fill my skin. I try to stay calm, but even my wolf is pushing its thoughts to the front, asking for revenge, for his life to end. The commotion around us starts to slow down, as if all the creatures present he can sense something is about to happen. Their attention directed at us. Some were already listening on us before, but they didn't move. I know Robert reacted when Xavier mentioned the fangs he probably gathered during the attack of their clan, and may almost rushed to us when he talked about the bones. But she was fighting 3 men at the time and couldn't get away. I ignored all of them because I couldn't stay calm if I took in their emotions too. In a clear voice, resonating in the silence around us, I start to talk. My tone acid own device. There never was a king. I can see he wants to answer me and contradict me, but something in my demeanor is holding him. A frown forming slowly on his features. I don't know what you think is in that book, but you're wrong. I tell him sharply. You killed these people for nothing. I look at him. My vision painted in a bright red now. My canines showing behind my lips when I growl again. The werewolf beside Avio shudders in fear, while his leader cowers involuntarily at the sight. I feel the heat filling my bones. Licking my skin a soothing dance. You wanted a monster. I start flames all around me. Well, I'm right here. I announce and see Argon take flight over us. In a beautiful incandescent fire. His cries echoing over our heads. I seize Avio breath frantically. His eyes wide open in fear as I approach him. I'm breeding you to hell. I declare so low. My words so full of venom that the fighters in a 3-meter radius all start to tremble in fear. Stepping back from me. I look one last time at the man before finally turning into a wolf. My yellowed fur engulfed in flames. Everything stops. I can feel everyone freeze in despair and fear. I growl and step closer to Xavier baring my teeth. No, that's not possible. Xavier shouts out horrified. You have to obey me. He whimpers and my snout curls up in a devious smack. I start to burn like a hellfire. Everyone's living nightmare. I hear them scream and begin to run all around. With trembling legs the traitor tries to walk away from me. He turns around and runs as fast as he can away from me, fleeing to save his miserable life. I jump in pursuit, stretching my limbs to catch up to him, running at full speed. Argon is flying low next to me, following the murderer. We reach the edge of the forest and I'm right behind him, hunting him down, letting behind all traces of humanity. In quick and definite paces, I lunge forward, my heavy paws hitting his back and making him fall over. He tries to get away from me as the flames burn his back, turning on himself to bring his arms over his face. The phoenix comes land on my shoulder, observing the pitiful man. Both our fires feeding the other. You can't kill me, he cries desperately. I bite the air sharply centimeter away from his face in response, the heat now licking his cheek. You have to listen to me, he orders weakly, and I growl. Please. I claw at his chest, blood gushing out. Please. I want to live. He begs for his life. Pathetic. Coward. My wolf barks. I lean in and without waiting bite down on his neck, feeling the flesh rip under my teeth as I tear off his head, finally making him shut up. I look down at his core and don't feel anything except for a burning anger. I want more. I need more. I turn around and listen to the sounds around me. I concentrate on the unfamiliar scents in the air. The majestic bird takes flight again and rushes in the air, guiding me to my next victim. I start a hunt, running from one target to the next, tearing their limbs apart, burning their bodies, clawing at their skin, biting at their hearts. It's a massacre. There is blood everywhere, coating the grass and the trees, coating every inch of my fur. There are burnt marks all around. My mouth tastes like copper, but I don't care. I hear them try to flee and chase after them, not letting one escape, making sure they know true terror before their last breath, letting them glimpse into hell. That's where they're going. Hope. Leader tries to stop me, but I just glare at her and keep going. I spotted Arthur on the other side, trying to hide. I'm in front of him in seconds. Stay away from me, monster, he demands in a quivering voice. I claw at his legs, making him fall on his back, blood staining the grass. I tip my head to the side in wonder, silently watching as he loses blood. With unusable feet he starts to crawl away through the sheer force of his arms. I put my heavy paw on his back and push down with a lot of pressure, breaking his spine. He cries out in pain, unable to move anymore. I push at his side so he rolls over and faces me. I want him to see death itself. He closes his eyes, his face quivering as tears run down his cheeks. I bark at him, but he refuses to look at me, and I growl. I'm hit on the flank and land a few meters away from my prey. I stand up ready to kill anyone that interrupted me when I'm faced with a white wolf. I let the flames disappear from my fur. However, he's standing between me and my next victim. I growl at him. I see two black wolves and a dark grey one surrounding me, but I'm not scared. They can't kill me. No one can. If I have to, I'll kill them too. More blood. My wolf demands, and I'm more than happy to oblige. I trot ahead to bypass Nate, and the grey wolf, who I know is Ellie, lunges at me. I move out of her way and bite at the back of her neck harshly, using all my strength to throw her into the trunk of a tree. She crashes into it, breaking it into, and lays unconscious. The two black wolves I now recognize as Tolia and Izano stop in their tracks and don't come closer as Orgon lands between us, protecting me with his tall burning frame, and I go back to Arthur. I saw him start to heal and try to escape. I bring my paw to his rib cage and push it down to break his bones, smash in his lungs. He starts to cough blood and glares at me. The last shred of hope gone. Nate crashes into me once again, and this time I've had enough. I stand straight, my eyes shining with the underlying order. I don't care anymore. I am a monster. I was created to kill them all, and that's what I'm going to do. They don't deserve to live. None of them do. They are arrogant. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilden, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Because they always want more, they don't care if everyone else dies. Suddenly I'm surrounded by faces I know all too well. Robert and Ralph on my left. Dealer, a 7-tails fox of bright ginger fur, and a 5-tails ash blonde fox, who I know without a doubt are Noriko and Daiki. On my right, Lincoln comes take his place next to the other alphas. His grey fur faded. I growl at him, and he looked back at me with eyes full of sadness and regret. Too late for that. I step to them first. The man on the ground will have to wait. I let my fur burn and my power seep through my body. The 3 alphas lower their heads and surrender, even though Anov tries his hardest to resist. The white wolf places himself in front of them, and I bark at him. Suddenly he stops moving, and slowly Nate turns back to his human form. I glare at him and he flinches. He takes a step in my direction, his green eyes boring into mine. Calm and gentle. That's enough. He whispers, pleading with me. I get even closer, burying my teeth inches away from his chest threateningly. He simply stands there waiting. Please, he mouths. I take the time to really look at him. He looks worn out and sad, his shoulders sagging in despair. My teeth graze at his skin, drawing blood, but he doesn't move away. He lifts his hands and the flames instinctively recede as he reaches for my head gently, burying his fingers into my fur, leaning his head against mine, his eyes closed. Please stop. I sense his tears wetting down my fur and feel the emotions I am so desperately trying to keep at bay rising in my chest. My heart hurts so much it almost feels like I am going to die. My throat constricts and I can't remember how to breathe. He keeps caressing my head soothingly, and I want to get away from him. I can feel his pain in my soul, and it's killing me. I start to howl in agony, the sound reverberating all around us, expressing my own pain in all directions. My foot disappears and I crouch down to the ground, my hands covering my face as the pain fills my entire being, mixed with my cries. 39 Today we mourn the people we lost, because they went before their time. Today we remember the brave men and women, the great beasts who fought to protect us all. Today we weep for what was taken from us. We remember our loved ones, our cherished friends. Nate's deep voice echoes in the silence, breaking at the end. I clench my fists, drilling a hole in the ground with my glare, as if I try hard enough I'll be able to get across to the other side of the world. People are sniffling and crying around me, and my skin burns in disgust. What the hell am I doing here? I feel Ila reach to squeeze my hand, and it feels as if she electrocuted me. I fight to stay put and not pull my arm away. When I lift my gaze to look at her, her lips are trembling, her eyes full of tears as she watches me, waiting for any kind of reaction. After I broke down yesterday when the battle ended, I put everything into getting a hold of my emotions, bottling them up and waiting to be alone, waiting for time to pass, waiting for the pain to fade, waiting to get out of this place. Leda convinced me to come to the memorial they were holding. At first I didn't intend to come, but then I thought it might be a good idea. It wasn't, and the scared looks thrown my way, the angry hisses and curses at my name made me hesitate. Argon curls up its head in my neck, and I caress its nest and laid its smooth golden feathers. I came for him, And for Marty, we discovered his body hidden in a room one of the traitors occupied. The only thing that made it easier to breathe by an inch was the fact that he didn't seem to have suffered. Lincoln clearly heard the preposterous convictions of his son during the fight, and even though he apologized countless times, I can't forgive him. He is the one responsible for his son's actions. He should have known better. I taught him better. How could he let him believe those insane stories? Why didn't he stop him? I've been debating with myself for hours now, and I still can't make my anger subside. She died protecting a younger fighter as two wolves and a vampire teamed up against him. They were about to lend the finishing blow when she interposed herself between them, successfully killing one of the wolves. She fought bravely, but the two other opponents were too strong against her alone. No one had the time to reach them to help her before they killed her. But the young man she gave her life to protect survived. For Ben, I was shocked to learn that his mate actually killed him before Rob could do anything to protect him. The young vampire kept putting himself in between the two fighters, trying to protect her from harm's way, but as the fight went he got careless and she didn't wait to sever his head from his body, attacking him from behind. I didn't even realize I ended up killing her in my rage while I was in my wolf's form. Good. Tu es agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing enthusiasm. For Takeshi, the man was killed by another of the traitors around the same time as Jared and as a few others I didn't really know when the men that sneaked into our ranks showed their true natures. They made a difference. The Alphas Olami continues and I grit my teeth. Next thing you know he'll start to say that they are still with us somehow. They were family. A part of us. A part of our soul. I roll my eyes at that, unable to contain my exasperation. I can see the people around me start to step back as they feel the frustration filling my body. Wave of impatience flowing in every direction. I look around me observing the people gathered, suspicious of everyone. There is nothing that proves that they weren't traitors too. I still believe they should all disappear. The alphas and betas of the other packs are gathered on my left, their heads bent low while the fighters are from every clan are mixed up on my right. Lastly, the civilians who stayed inside with the pups are behind me, assembled in a small group. They are all crying in silence, embracing each other for support, and I just want to leave. This is pathetic. They are pathetic. They survived. We went to battle. We fought. I killed the men responsible for this mess and we won. People died, but what else do you expect from war? War is messy. War is unforgiving. War is hard. War is unfair and unreasonable. War is the product of men. War will never bring peace. Only war. Corey is beside Nate, gripping his arm as she cries. For a second I question if she's really truly sad or if she's feigning it to cling to him. But I don't care. I don't care about him. I don't care about this pack, and I sure as hell don't care for this stupid memorial. The sooner I get out of here, the better. May keep stalking, but I don't hear him. I don't listen anymore. I watch the large pictures behind him one by one. A young woman with deep blue eyes and red hair, with freckles on her face from the Washington pack. An older man with an olive skin smiling at the camera timidly with dark grey eyes and brown hair from the Boston pack. A mermaid with beautiful green scales covering her body. A group photo of the vampires during the hunting trip. I stop on Marty's face for a while, watching his dimples show where he grins. His face covered in mud, one of his front teeth missing, his hair disheveled, the light reflected in his brown eyes. The shadow of the next picture makes me shudder as I look at the other end of photos. Takeshi looks away, the picture taken without him noticing it, his serious expression the same as I always saw him. On the next shot, Ben is standing proudly with his father in front of their small tribe. And then there's the picture of Leah shyly looking away from the camera. She's wearing sweatpants and her hair is tied up as she readies herself to run. I recognize the day's the tournament. There are a dozen of other photographs with people in them, all standing immobile in their frames, sporting smiles, exuding happiness. The crowd starts to get closer to Nate in the pictures and I can't take it anymore. I shake Leela's hand off mine and walk back to the pack house. Orgon flying off of my shoulder in a swift motion to go stand on the coyotes. I need to get ready. I'm stepping over the threshold when an arm pulls me to a stop. The hand is cold and smooth, but the grip is firm and the sharp nails digging into my skin. This is all your fault. Corey growls in a venomous tone and I don't interrupt her. You should have never come here. You brought them here. These deaths are on you. She glares as I turn to look at her. She frowns as I don't react but keeps going. I knew you were a monster. I knew you would bring us misfortune. I hope you're happy now. You don't deserve to be here. You are a monster who shouldn't exist. I never trusted you and this pack will never trust you either. She stops, her eyes shining yellow. Leave before someone else dies because of you. She spits angrily and I extract myself from her grasp. Rolling my eyes as I walk away, I reach my room without any new interruption, looking around the place one last time. I open my large suitcase on the ground and stuff inside of it carelessly. My different shirts and pants, the coat I stole during our trip, the different pictures and artifacts I took. I take my old knife from the dresser and throw it into without looking over my shoulder to see where it lands. My luggage is filled to the brim, overflowing with cloths. I try to push the two sides together to close it, my grip on the metal tightening. Why won't this freaking stupid zipper work? I grumble. I push and twist. I turn and kick but nothing happens. The piece of plastic won't do as I tell it to and I just stop trying. I bend on my knees to take the bag in my arms and as I stand up I throw it out the closed window, shattering the glass in the process. Thick pieces and smaller ones falling on the floor and leaving marks on the wood. To my agent extraordinaire, Mayen Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Problem solved. I announce, dusting my hands off on my jeans. I hear screams outside and people cursing again, but I ignore it. I start filling the other smaller suitcase I have with my remaining belongings, glaring at it the entire time in warning, threatening it to end up like its old worn-out buddy if it doesn't listen. I am threatening inanimate objects. We're back to normal. Is everything okay in there? Nate inquires from the corridor, but when I don't answer himself inside, stopping abruptly at the sight. What are you doing? You can't leave, he says angrily, pulling my hands away from the second smaller bag still on the floor and taking the cloths out of it, throwing them back on the bed. I simply repeat the process, putting the cloths in randomly and he gets them out again. Seriously, stop that. I don't care. I decide walking to grab my purse and keys. I don't need these things. The room falls quiet just like my mind. My wolf hasn't talked to me since yesterday. I don't know what's wrong with it, but for now I don't care. It'll start talking again eventually. It always does. Talk to me. I hear Nate murmur in a small voice, but I only look inside my purse to make sure I at least got my sunglasses and some cash. Please. He begs weakly with pleading eyes and the sight chars my insides uncomfortably. I look straight into his eyes without feeling anything. I don't feel the bond. I don't feel the leather of my bag against my skin. I don't feel the air filling my lungs. I don't feel my heart beating. I don't feel sad or happy, angry or peaceful. I don't care to feel any of it. I step toward the door, bored with this conversation, but his body blocks my way out. There are 3 options here. 1, I go through the window. 2, he steps aside and nobody will get hurt. Or 3, I go through him. I sigh and wait. His hands reach for my face forcefully and I cringe. His hold keeps me in place, compelling me to look at him. Enthusiasm. From this close I can see how tired he is. Dark circles contouring his eyes. How defeated he feels. His shoulders slumped forward. His shaded green eyes look back at me full of mixed anger and sadness. Say something, he orders me, shaking me a little, but I close my mouth tightly. Say it. I need him to be here. I say harshly, unable to pronounce the name. I need him in my life, but he isn't. He died because of me. He died because I couldn't protect him. He had his whole life in front of him, but it's all gone. And now I have to live with the fact that he'll never see this pack grow. He'll never laugh with the other fighters again. He'll never make funny faces when I tell him about my past. He'll never frown at my jokes. His heart will never beat again, and this is all because of me. All of them are dead because of me. To my agent extraordinaire, Marlene Nelben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dear, then this is all my fault. They didn't deserve to die. I can't just pretend it never happened. I can't forget that I broke so many lives. Because of me, Marthy will never grow up. Nolan will never see his son again. Leah will never find her mate. Jared, I choke on my words and bring my hand over my obstructed throat. Jared will never see the world I wanted to show him. My voice breaks. I can't stay here. I can't walk those corridors and pretend I don't hear their laughs, that I don't see their smiles when I close my eyes. I can feel my heart breaking all over again in my chest. This pain more insufferable than any visible wound. I feel my eyes burning, a single tear rolling down my cheek. With his thumb, Nate weeps it gently away. I would give anything for them to be okay. I go on. I would give my life for them to be happy without a second thought, but this isn't going to happen. You are all going to grow up. To grow old and then you'll leave me. You'll die and I will be left alone once again. And it hurts. It hurts so much. Every time I have to say goodbye is a torture. I don't want that anymore. I can't go through it again. I just can't. I'm tired. I tell him, desperate for him to understand. So I'm leaving. I explain, squaring my shoulders. I'm going back to the way it was before. Before any of you mattered so much. Before I did that stupid race. Before I met you. It wasn't your fault. He says calmly with a frown. Yes, it was. I say vehemently. Cora might be wrong about a lot of things, but she's right about this. They died because of me. If I didn't exist, none of this would have happened. They would be fine. If they didn't create me in the first place, so what? You'd rather forget everything. I don't care if you're different, and neither does this pack. He cuts me. Yes, they do. I nod. Leaving won't make anything disappear. Even if you spend your life running away, it will still hurt the same in the end. No, it won't. I shake my head stubbornly. Just like you forgot about Liam. He questions and I stop breathing at the blow. My head spinning under the pressure of all the emotions struggling to surface. I don't. I stutter. It doesn't go away. He whispers calmly. How would you know? I bite back bitterly and his eyes flash full of hurt. Because I know what it means to lose people you cherish. I know how it feels to be unable to protect them. He glares at me, and I understand. He lost his family before. He lost his pack members. And now, when he finally could rebuild himself, when he became even stronger, he lost them all over again. I am not the only one affected by Jared and the other's death. You have to let me leave. I beg, pulling out of his hold, stepping back a few steps. I can't over all of you. I can't lose anybody else. I won't. I refuse. You won't lose us. He insists. You're going to die. I state coldly. Everybody does. But that's the thing. I won't. I will live. You're all gone. Centuries after Rob and his family turned to stones. And even after that, I'll still be there. I'll always be there. All alone. It is so much harder to be the one left behind. I plead with my eyes for him to see things my way. Nate frowns as he takes in my words, thinking on them for a minute. But I need you here. He refuses to listen. No, you don't. You'll be fine. This pack is strong. The world you built today with the other clans will be your strength. So you'll just abandon me, he wants to know, glaring at me. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm going home so things can go back to normal. I'm doing what's right. You leaving this pack is wrong. You'll see. It's for the best. I try to convince him. Of course it's not. We fall silent again. The both of us stuck on our decision. Please stay. He implores. I don't have a reason to stay. Stay for me. He persists. Why would you want me to? Because I'm in love with you. He shouts with bright white eyes and my breath catches in my throat. I love you. Your eyes. Your hair. Your voice. I love to feel your skin against mine when I touch you. His fingers reach out to graze my arm, sending electricity to my nerves before falling back to his side. You reach so deep into my soul that I couldn't shake you off. You made me feel alive and strong. You challenged me and made me go past my limits. You taught me about patience and humility. You showed me the world I never knew existed outside of this territory. I fell in love with you the moment you got out of your car. You always get under my skin. I dream of you every night and want to spend every waking moment with you. Every time I finally see you, I feel at home. When you're sad, I want to gather you in my arms and protect you from everything and everyone else. I love your laugh and I want to be the one making you smile. Even when you get angry at me, my entire body buzzes in exhilaration. My heart beats faster every time you look at me and stops when you smile. You are the air I need to breathe. I watch him, my heart thundering in my ears, my soul expanding with every word he speaks. And I know you love me too. He murmurs, "What about your mate?" I demanded, a small voice, my resolve wavering. She stopped muttering the instant I met you. I may be supposed to love someone else, but I never could love her love you. I know in my bones that you are the one for me. Even in 100 years I'll still be loving you. He says in a soft husky voice and I shudder. I choose you. I will always choose you. Suddenly pain blasts through my heart, piercing it and tearing it apart. I bend over, closing my eyes, my hand gripping at my chest. It burns and the world starts to turn on its axis. I look at my skin where the mark of the sun is smoldering red. It goes back to normal as the pain slowly subsides. That's when I feel it. The bond, like a red string attached to my heart and spreading all around me, leading to Nate's heart, his sweet scent making me dizzy as my soul yearns for him more than ever before, begging me to reach to him. My breathing becomes difficult as I try to stay where I am and fight against the need I feel for him. To my agent extraordinaire, beginning.丨Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He growls and my eyes shoot to his shining silvery gaze. He's watching me in amazement. What I choke in a trembling voice, tears in my eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, beginning.丨Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He repeats, closing the distance between us and pulling me to him. His lips crash on mine hungrily as he tastes them, his hands roaming over my body as if to remember everything they skid along of. My skin is ablaze with sensations I never felt before. Every inch of flesh he touches under a charm, shocks of electricity passing through my chest and arms. I lose myself to his kiss, savoring his silent declaration of love. He stops and pulls me against his chest, his face resting in the crook of my neck, inhaling deeply before sighing, his hold tightening on my back. I start to shake in his arms, my throat constricted. Mate, my wolf talks again, coming from the meanders of my mind. How is that possible? He questions, backing away a fraction and looking at me. You can feel the bond too. I ask, grasping at his forearms for support as my legs suddenly become weak. Of course I can. He smiles radiantly, taking my hand in his to place it over his hammering heart. Can't you feel it? He questions with a frown as I concentrate on the vibrations of his chest as blood rushes through his veins. I do. I assure him. I've always been yours. From the beginning, I was always yours. I just never thought you could be mine. What do you mean you're not supposed to feel it? Of course I can feel my mate. Wait. You knew I was your mate before today, yes. It's part of my curse. What curse? He growls, aggravated. So overprotective. My wolf curse. I told you before. I'm different. The sun created me to fight against her soldiers. I caught under her light and my eyes shine red among other things. I am the commander of the sun she cursed a long time ago. I can't die and I don't have a mate. At least that's what I thought before I met you. But the moment I saw you, I knew you were my mate. I could feel it in my soul. But you didn't. I stopped quietly. Why didn't you tell me? He asks sadly as if he feels like he lost precious time. You should have told him. Don't try to put the blame on me. We both agreed it wasn't a good idea. I wanted you to tell him. I couldn't. I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. I admit. I'm sure I would have believed you. Nate. I start rolling my eyes and see him close his eyes as his name leaves my mouth. We both know no one can believe something like that. The bond is supposed to be embedded in our bones. It's a magical link between two mates that proves they belong together. If you didn't feel it, there is no way you would ever be sure I was your mate. There would have always been a part of you that wondered if maybe the one you were waiting for was still out there somewhere. I don't know. He grumbles stubbornly and I smile as I feel his fingers play with a strand of my hair. I need to check something, I tell him before rushing out of the room towards the library. He follows behind me without a word, but I see him itching to grab my hand and I smirk, speeding up again. We walk through corridors, people observing me curiously, fear still ingrained on their features. What's going on? Lydia asks with worry in her eyes as soon as she sees me and runs to join me. Rob right behind her. I need to look at something. I tell her vaguely and she frowns, glancing over her shoulder. What's wrong with him? She inquires conspiratorially. He's madly in love with me. I smirk without restraint and she chokes on air, looking back and forth between the both of us. Yes, I am. He answers in a velvety voice and I count the blush creeping up my face. I don't stop before entering the library, saluting Marcus before striding to the ancient section. I hear Rob whistle loudly at the sight in front of him, looking around the room impressed as he hadn't been inside until now. He picks a few books, trying to take it all in, reading a few lines from one then skidding to the next. Is this some kind of heaven, he jokes, and any other day I would think the exact same thing. I focuses on my task, going directly to retrieve the book I'm looking for. I skim quickly through the pages to find the legend. My legend. The 4 other people present in the room gather around me, waiting expectantly. Bob comes to my side and looks over my shoulder at the words. I haven't seen those symbols in a while, he says, amazed. Don't even remember how to read them. I'm more surprised at the fact that you did know how to read this at some point. What is it about? Leela asks, curious. I start reading from the last lines of the written curse, concentrating to finally understand them. The words laid on the paper are the same as last time the moon placed a curse upon the wolf. No matter how long it took and how hard the wolf tried, it would never find its mate. It would be cursed to spend its eternal life alone. And if one day the wolf came across its mate, it alone would feel the bond. I keep going, getting stuck on a few words and my nerves rise. I've had enough not knowing. I think this one is lift, and that one renounce. Robert points at 2 of the symbols I am currently glaring at. Suddenly it clicks and I remember the last part as I read aloud. If its mate were to fall completely and madly in love with the ill-fated being and renounce to find its other half, only then will the curse be broken. You lifted the curse. Leda gasps, her eyes brimming with tears. I look at Nate in shock and see Marcus smile gently next to him. Luna, the keeper of the library, lowers his head in reverence. Leda and Rob imitate him and my eyes grow wide. My queen. Nate smiles adoringly. Unknown POV, I look at the books, assessing them. There are a lot of books here, big and small, brown, black, red, old, smelly, soft and hard, fragile ones. I know a lot of them, the stories in them, the adventures they recount, the monsters they hold, and the secrets they hide. I dream about them every night and wish to find more of them every day. I want to fight a dragon, run on a unicorn's back and find the gold of the leprechauns. I want to sail the seas with Captain Blackbeard and dance with the yetis. I walk in another section, scan the book. One has a beautiful color, yellow. It seems soft but strong at the same time. I push on my tiptoes and try to grab it, but it's too high. I groan and stretch my hand more. It doesn't work, so I climb the first shelves. Finally my fingers brush against its spine and with quivering hands I take it out. I jump back down nimbly and sit on the floor. I open the book and turn the pages. I don't understand what is written in here. This makes me even more curious. I get up quickly. Grandma! Grandma, I shout, scurrying out of the room. I run in the corridors through the house, glide down the stairs and follow the sweet scents of cookies. I step quickly into the kitchen. Grandma is wiping her floured hands on her apron. I can see her long grey hair tied into a loose bun. She smiles at me as she turns around. She has a lot of wrinkles on her face, but she says she likes every one of them. I think that's weird. I look around, but Grandpa isn't there. I notice the cookies on the counter. Slowly I walk to her. Pretend to look at what she's doing. She's baking a cake. She adds an egg in the bowl. I take a step to the side. Then another. Soon. But not soon enough the cookies are in reach. Without a sound I lift my arm discreetly. I'm almost there. I can smell the delicious biscuit calling for me. It wants me to eat it. So really I'm just doing what I'm told. Don't even think about it, Dawn. She says in a sing-song voice beside me. You know your mom doesn't want you to eat after dinner. She adds without looking at me. I groan and roll my eyes. Mom says that my teeth will fall off if I eat too many sweets. That's silly. Plus, they would just grow back because I'm a werewolf. Reluctantly I bring my empty hand back to my side and squeeze the book I'm holding. Grandma, I found the book I want to read tonight. I tell her, jumping up and down. She pours the contents of the bowl in a cake mold and puts it in the hot oven. We have 30 minutes, she announces. I grab her hand and pull her into the stairs to my room. Her hand is soft and smooth, but mine is small. Once inside, I jump in my bed and get comfortable. This is important. Grandma says that we have to be sprawled on the bed to enjoy a story. She lays down beside me, on her stomach, grinning at me. I give her the book and hold my breath. She looks at it surprised before caressing it fondly. Did you look inside? She asks in a whisper. I nod and frown. I can't read it. Don't worry. Your grandpa can't read it either. If you want, I'll teach you. I nod in agreement. I have to speak a lot of languages if I want to go on journeys around the world. Grandma starts to laugh happily. I haven't seen this book in a really long time. She explains with a bright smile. What do you think this is about? I push on my elbows to see the book better. There are only a few pictures of men and wolves. I look at one of them. The wolf has the same eyes as me. I say in surprise. Like mine's too. She adds, her eyes shining briefly, and I grin at her. She goes back to the first page, looks intently at the first signs written there. She seems lost in her thoughts. She looks back at me and smiles kindly. Then she clears her throat and starts reading in a soft crystalline voice. Long ago, the moon and the sun shared the sky. She starts, her eyes glowing red. The end. Bonus, Klaus Jr. I thought I should start this letter with all the usual stuff about how nice I was this year, so here I go. Yada yada yada. Let's face it, I was awesome as always. When have you ever seen me any other way? It is not without pride that I say that this century I have been more than good. There might have been a few massacres here and there, but who's counting? I'm sorry your dad lost his beard last time we met. And one brow. I know it was hard for him afterward to do his job since no one recognized him anymore. But let's face it, he had it coming. I mean, what kind of world is it when Santa doesn't bring me such a small present? I only asked for a tiara. One, which isn't that many if you asked me. Sure, I asked it to be one of Queen Elizabeth's. Yes, it was the big one in gold and precious jewels. Maybe, the one she's currently using. But let's not forget it was mine first. I was just taking back what's mine. I mean, it's not like I asked for a new castle. At least, not that year. So yes, I asked for the tiara back. That's why you have to understand why I did what I did. I didn't know you were all inside the house with the elves backing a cake when I started that fire. I might have tripped and taken down the reindeer's fence, and you might have had to look for them for 2 weeks afterwards, but was it really my fault? I don't think so. I was so sad and disappointed I couldn't see where I was going. Anyway, let's get to the point. As you probably know, and as I said before, this year I was awesome. I was a badass and kicked many enemies but took care of some problems we had. I did some real good this time around, so I should be allowed to ask for something. Right. Let bygones be bygones. I thought about asking for leprechaun gold, but I remembered I already stole fam some. That I thought of asking for a new power, but we need to be reasonable. I mean, if I'm even greater than now, the world might end, so I'll put the thought away for now. I considered asking for a new castle, but I'm too lazy to hire the maids. And here's my problem. I don't know what to ask for this year, which never happens. Even my wolf made fun of me. By the way, it wants 6 roasted unicorns. to scramble dragon eggs and some mermaid oil for its fur. I'm impressed. It didn't ask for more this year. Remember that time it wanted the Amazonian forest to run free? We almost had a climate change in our hands. Although the humans are doing a great job on this front nowadays. You don't need to brinkery or Gabe anything, I'll take care of it myself. Don't worry, but the pups need a few things. I saw on your website you finally decided to propose the invisibility cape, so I'll need 10 of them. For now, 1 in pink for Sydney. And their swords were confiscated a while ago. I don't know why, so they need new ones. For Leela, nothing too complicated. A teleport key will suffice. As you know, she lives a few things. Nate keeps asking for a Galapagos turtle ever since I told him some of them were great musicians. By the way, do you know where I put Lilith's mirror? I can't seem to find it and I needed to contact Lucy to check if his new guests arrived. As you see, I'm awfully generous this year, but I still don't know what to choose for myself. Any suggestion? I'll think about it some more and send you another letter tell you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm counting on you. Hope, dear Mr. Santa. It's an honor to be writing to you. About the fire. She's joking. Right. I don't really need a turtle, I just found it amazing. That's all. Don't worry about Hope, I'll take care of her present. Let's also forget about the swords for the pups. Instead, how about a few nice wooden cars or trains? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. If I could ask for an invisibility cloak too. Thank you for all the work you accomplish every year for this special occasion. Mate bonus chapter. Boom. I hear the sound of an explosion coming from behind the pack house, and suddenly an enormous cloud of dark black smoke appears through the window. Everything's fine, I hear her voice and roll my eyes. Of course. Be nice to your mate. My wolf scolds me, already worried and ready to act. Stephen. My new beta enters my office and my jaw hangs open as I see the state of his attire. His disheveled hair is darker than usual and I can smell it's burnt from where I sit. His shirt is torn on one side, revealing reddened skin. I take off cough, he starts to cough heavily. His eyes watering. Nothing to worry about. Cough. Just a small hole in the wall. Cough. I put my pen down and sigh before standing up. Lead the way. I instruct him, waving my hand around in the general direction of the door. I listen closely to the sounds around. No one is screaming in fear. No one is crying, so it should be fine. And yet, a small group has already gathered next to the training room trying to peer inside. Jordan, come here right now. Leo, his father hisses. You to Sydney. He instructs and the 2 pups come running outside, followed by 5 others. They are fine. Not a scratch. I try to reason with myself. Everyone parts to let us pass and the murmurs start. I ignore them and walk into the room, closing the door behind us. No need to have more onlookers. My eyes gaze around to the men gathered here. Some of them sport red and flesh and disheveled hair just like Stephen. I keep looking around and freeze when they land on her. She's facing away from me, her long raven hair spread over her shoulders. I frown immediately as my eyes spot her torn and burnt cloths, revealing her stomach and the side of her right thigh. I can't control the jealousy coursing through me. Mine. My wolf growls loud in my head and I have difficulty keeping it contained as it wants to tear everyone's limbs apart, but dares to even glance at her. I order, gritting my teeth. Yes, Alpha. My men answer instantly and run out the door. Hope slowly turns around and her eyes brighten as she sees me. My breath catches in my throat and I forget even my name. All thoughts fly through the window. She's beautiful, and the more I watch her, the more I can't believe someone like her actually exists. And she's mine. How did that happen? How did I get so lucky? I never could have helped falling in love with her. But what is truly amazing is that she'd love me too. My heart starts hammering in my chest. I can feel the pull she has on me. My entire body is buzzing with me for her as she just stands there. Even her scent filling the room is enticing and I can feel my eyes glowing white. I'm still not used to the fact even after 2 months, but she keeps saying she likes my eyes. They are different just like hers. So I guess I'm fine with it. I watch every detail of her face. The small beauty mark on her left cheek, her bright golden eyes piercing through my soul, her pink kissable lips. I can't take my eyes off her. Just like the first time I ever saw her. On the racetracks as she exited her car. She walked with so much confidence. Her head held high. At first I could only see her back and I couldn't believe a girl beat me. Since then I've learned my lesson. I've lost enough times to know I don't stand a chance. Even her voice was melodious and sweet as she talked to Roger. When she finally turned around and I could see her face. I wanted her. I wanted her for myself right that second. I didn't understand why. Or how, and my wolf was just as unsettled as I was. When I didn't feel the bond, I was so disappointed it surprised me. I had never questioned the moon's choices before. But at that moment I wondered why I couldn't be blessed to worship a goddess like her. She wasn't afraid of me. Not even once. It was so different from my men and the pack members. They respected me, but they were scared of me. Afraid I would lose control. I always felt they didn't like my wolf. I didn't know how to handle her. She pushed me, leading me by the nose, and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. She made me question myself instead of her. It instantly felt like she belonged here. The pups loved her, and even though the adults kept denying it, they were all intrigued by her stories. Hell, I wanted to hear more of her stories. The more I got to know her, the more I wanted her to stay, and seeing her talk to other men drove me crazy. Even if she was just greeting them in passing. I always felt jealous of her relation with Jared. Because she acted differently in front of him. She seemed more open around him. I never thought I would ever need to compete with anyone. For anything. I'm an alpha and I'm used to getting what I want. But every time it was about him, I was hit with doubt. At the time I thought he could offer her something I couldn't. Because he had already lost his mate, he could choose someone of his liking. To me, being with her felt right just as much as it felt wrong. The first time I touched her, I felt of electricity course through my body. And every time I touched her, I wanted more. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Always more. I don't think I'll ever stop wanting more. More of her smiles. More of her laughs. More of her joy. Of her love. She never knew about it, but right before we left the pack I told Jared that he couldn't have her. That she was mine. Even if it was against the laws. Even after he warned me that we would both get hurt the moment I found my mate. Or she did. That thought alone drove me to the edge. Imagining someone taking her away from me made me lose control. Jared never said anything else about it. He only assured me that he loved her like a sister and that his heart belonged to Jessica. Even in death. That's why it's added me to see her so broken after he died. I felt like I hit a wall of brick when I lost him, but seeing her so devastated almost made me lose control entirely. I felt powerless. Useless. Incapable of healing her in some way, even though I wished to so damn much. How can I help when I'm just as broken? The moment I saw her ready to leave, filling her bags, I felt so cold, so alone. I needed her. More than anything or anyone else, I needed her. By then I was too far gone to ever be able to live without her. My mind went blank for a second as I panicked. I even let the thought of leaving with her run through my mind. I could have left everything behind for her. And I still could. The night she asked me if I had any idea why my eyes were shining white. What changed? I told her I didn't know why. But I knew. Because I could feel it somehow. Everything changed the moment I fell deeply in love with her to ever turn back. It was the moment I chose her over any mate that would ever come. I chose her when my wolf kept arguing that he didn't feel the bond. I chose her because she was my hope. Because I couldn't think of anyone else and I knew I never could. I never would want to. Because the world didn't make any sense without her in it. Because I loved her and that was that. I come back to reality. brought out of my memories. As I see her fidget on her spot, glancing discreetly to her right, I start to frown. She's hiding something from me and I don't like it. Mates don't have secrets. My wolf agrees. Nate. She acknowledges my presence and I shudder with those for simple letters. My name. But it's her voice, her lips, that pronounce it. And it makes all the difference in the world. What are you doing here? She questions innocently, dusting her cloths as if nothing happened. Just wanted to check up on you. I answer simply, which isn't a lie because I always yearn to see her. I'm fine, she assures me, walking sideways, taking one step at a time towards a sort of bench on her right. She tries to throw a sweatshirt on it, but by now I am more than suspicious and walk directly next to her, pulling the book she tried to hide under it. I pale as I see what it is. Are you kidding me? My voice wavers as I flip through the pages of a Dragon Ball Z volume. I look around the room once again, inspecting the round burns on the wall, remembering the state of my men, the state of her cloths. Did you actually try to do a Kamehameha in my training room? I ask, incredulous. No. She answers seriously but can't help the smile stretching her lips, before starting to laugh uncontrollably, the sound filling the empty room. I have to say I'm impressed you actually know what it is. She smirks and I roll my eyes. So, did you succeed? I question, crossing my arms over my chest. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She tells me proudly. This mate is crazy. Right, I kind of want to see it too though. Not you too, Esther, so don't pretend otherwise. My wolf mocks me. Am I the only sane one? You need to lighten up, dude. Did you finish your bags? Hope tries to change the subject and it works. Ready to go when you are. I tell her, nodding. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'll just go change. I can help you with that. I tell her, and this time it's my turn to smirk. Her eyes shine a bright red as she raised her brow. You can. I make a step towards her and she jumps back. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I believe you. She giggles. I'll be outside in 5 minutes, she declares before hurrying outside. I'm tempted to follow her upstairs, but we have already delayed our flight for 3 weeks, and if we don't leave today I don't think we'll be able to before at least half a year has passed. I wait for her outside next to her car. My bag's already in the trunk. Of course she refused to take anything but her car. I don't know why I was even surprised. I can't wait for us to leave. Alone. I shouldn't be so happy about leaving the pack house, but I am. It's the first time ever we will be completely alone for a few days. Just me and my queen. Mate, my wolf coughs to correct me. Same thing. Next you'll say she's a goddess. Thought so. This relationship isn't healthy. I'm telling you. She never said you were her king or anything of the likes. I see movement from my room's window, and the next thing I know Hope is jumping out of it, her bags in hands, because walking normally through the door would have been too difficult. I grumble, rolling my eyes. Reminds me of old times. She shrugs, a smile appearing on her face. Only you would jump out windows, in the middle of the night in someone else's pack house when they clearly told you to stay put. I laugh. Someone is clearly a stalker. I don't comment on it. You were. Aren't you still, for the moon's sake? Aren't I her mate? Aren't I allowed to look at her or know where she goes, stalker? Are you ready? Fed up with the both of them. I shouldn't have to justify myself yet. I'm finally going home. This is your home. I tell her softly, not sure this trip is such a good idea anymore. She finally agreed to officially moving with me, and we are only going to New York to bring her stuff back here. You are my home. She replies easily, and my heart misses a bit. You have people to take care of and I love them too. But I've spent more than 3 decades in New York. You can't leave me. I tell her on edge. Maybe it's not too late to lock her in our room. She comes close to me and lifts her hand to graze against my cheek, smiling gently. I close my eyes instinctively and push my face against her fingers. I won't leave you, but I want you to see my world. I want to share that with you. ___, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And I want to be just the two of us for a little while, she adds mischievously. ___, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Let's go, I exclaim, already sitting in the passenger seat. The ride to the airport is quickened this time around. She actually chooses to sit next to me on the flight, even if it means flying in second class. I still think first is better. She grumbles, wrinkling her nose in distaste as a baby keeps crying to Rose in front of us and a man is sniffling right next to me. At first she was sitting next to him, but he kept looking at her and eyeing her chest, so I had no choice really. Either we exchanged seats or I killed someone. I still think the second option was better. I let my hand rest on her leg to calm her down. It works immediately. Like magic. For 3 seconds. And then I don't want to be on this plane anymore. My fingers burn me as I feel the heat of her skin through her jeans. I feel restless and my wolf isn't helping. Puppies, puppies, puppies. I ain't having no puppies, and especially not right now. Puppies, 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 no. No, no. It's already hard enough to find time to spend with her as it is. I'm not adding a kid to the equation. Not for the next 10 years at least. Just her. I have no words. You're simply insane. Nothing new here. You won't be able to say the same thing as she shows you her boo. Don't even think of finishing that sentence. I warn my wolf. Buzzkill. She's my mate to sow. I ignore my beast once again. What do you have in mind for the next couple of days? We'll just walk around. She shrugs obstinately. My hand slides up her thigh of its own accord, and I curse myself inwardly. This is pure torture. Maybe we should start with a tour of my apartment, she suggests, breathless. Great idea. I agree with way too much enthusiasm. The tour consists of a straight line to her bedroom and I'm not complaining about it. I am more than happy to kiss every inch of her skin and worship every square of her body. She's right. Home is where she is. I feel at home when she is peacefully sleeping in my arms, her head pressed against my chest, her hair spread across my skin, her hand resting over my heart. My hand draws soothing circles on her back and I can almost feel her purr in satisfaction. It makes me smile. Only I can make her happy. She's mine like I am hers and it won't ever change. I love you. I tell her, my lips brushing the top of her head. I know. She says and I can hear the smile in her voice. And I push. It's a given because I'm awesome. I pinch her thigh softly. And you can't live without me. I roll my eyes at that one even though it's true. And give up, man. She lifts herself up on her elbows. The sheets falling down and revealing her mark. I can't help my fingers from grazing it lovingly. Half of it is the mark of the moon and the other half is that of the sun. Just like mine. And it's perfect. Just like her. Her eyes pierce through mine. And I'm in love with you, Nate. She tells me sincerely. I love you because of who you are. And I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. You are the man I want to spend the rest of my days with. I want to grow old with you and be happy. Just happy. I want to be your strength like you are mine. I want to wake up every morning and fall asleep every night in your arms. I want to laugh over the simplest things and build a family together. She finishes excitedly. I like that idea. I smile seeing the little girl with eyes of gold and raven hair just like her mum.